Welcome to this week's Pro Sports edition of the Hawks Nest. My name is Leon Miller. I'm joined with Clay. Today, we're going to talk about pro sports. So, starting with the NFL, they just inked their 10-year contract deal agreement with the TV companies. So, they're going to be signing and showing their programs, their football through all the networks throughout 2023 through 2033. ABC is going to show the Super Bowl in 2026, for the first time. And it's a pretty big contract. Amazon got a deal cut a deal with the NFL, and I think it's the first time that they've had that. What do you think about that, Clay?
I think it's interesting, right, to see
Yeah.
how it's all going to play out with a lot of these companies moving to streaming services. I am kind of excited about ABC getting a Super Bowl because you see ABC kind of known for carrying the NBA Finals.
Yeah, the finals.
They're getting a Stanley Cup now, so ESPN really making moves to get these big time games. Obviously, the NFL or the ESPN's always had the NFL in some capacity. Obviously, Sunday night or rather Monday Night Football, and they get those occasional like draft whatever. But I think for them to be able to get a Super Bowl, I think that's going to be pretty big time for
Yeah,
ESPN.
they're getting more coverage, more exposure for the TV streaming companies and for ESPN and for football as well. So it's just a lot of revenue, big boss business moves being made with the NFL right now and the streaming services.
Yeah, I mean, you get to see all these great players that are kind of switching teams a little bit. If you want to go ahead and look at free agency now, it has been quite the week, Leon, in free agency. Is there a team right now, and I know it's only been a week, that has won free agency so far?
I think that if you look at the Arizona Cardinals right now, starting with ever since the J.J. Watt move has been made, I think the Arizona Cardinals have upgraded big time, especially in NFC West, where a lot of things are getting shaken up right now in the West. Russell Wilson apparently wants to get out of Seattle. I don't know how far he's going to get with that. I think he might stay. But, you got the Rams bringing Matthew Stafford in. Everybody's making moves. The Cardinals, they added to the receiving corps. They got another Pro Bowl wide receiver, A.J. Green, to go with DeAndre Hopkins, and probably Larry Fitzgerald if he decides to come back. So, I think the Arizona Cardinals have made big-time moves. They lost a little bit on defense, losing Patrick Peterson. But, he's getting a little older in age. He's still a high caliber, probably one of the highest caliber cornerbacks in the NFL. But, they're gaining a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Russell Wilson leaves Seattle. I just don't see any way that happens right now.
Me neither.
But the A.J. Green signing, I like that a lot. I think that's an underrated signing, obviously, J.J. Watt. But I'm going to take a team. This might be a layup, right? But I'm going to take the Patriots. They get two of the better tight ends in football. Maybe not the top tier, but definitely that middle tier. And Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, two guys that I think can complement Cam Newton's game a bit.
He's nice. Hunter Henry might be top tier. I think he's getting there. Both of those tight ends are getting there, like you said, medium tier.
But yeah, so when you think of top tier, obviously you think of George Kittle and Travis Kelce. But those are two really good tight ends, I think, for New England. They re-signed Cam Newton. I think that's a team that maybe Bill Belichick's kind of getting the band back together a bit and making some noise. They bring back Kyle Van Noy. They bring back David Andrews. I think the Patriots can maybe make some noise in that division. Obviously, you still have to go through Buffalo.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at another AFC team really quick here. The Steelers. Is Juju out in Pittsburgh, or what do you think the deal is there?
Juju confused me. We was just talking about Juju Stan. Juju that tricked me with social media. I thought with the re-signing of Big Ben, I just was for sure he was coming back to the Steelers. Now it's looking like more probable that he's wanting to go to New York. The Jets is what I've been hearing. So, do I think he comes back? I'm gonna go out on a limb on the Hawks. I'm gonna say no. I think that he might go somewhere else. I think this is Big Ben's last season for sure with Pittsburgh. I think Juju knows that. I don't think the Steelers might win the Super Bowl this year unless they make more moves. And I think Juju just wants to, go ahead and start his career somewhere else.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with that one. I don't see any way Juju's coming back. But another quarterback, you mentioned Big Ben, Mitchell Trubisky, who had the starting quarterback job last year, had it taken away, got it back. He goes to Buffalo to back up Josh Allen, and the Bears, who thought they might get Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, end up with Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback. What are your thoughts on that?
With Andy Dalton, I got a rant to go on about Chicago. Chicago got rid of Mitchell Trubisky. First of all, they had the opportunity to draft Deshaun Watson to begin with, and Patrick Mahomes to begin with. They didn't. They passed. They drafted Mitchell Trubisky. Okay, they get Mitchell Trubisky. They used him or whatever. Even when he's healthy, half of the time they wasn't using him. They went to Nick Foles, but they got rid of him. Long story short, he was probably the best quarterback that they had on the roster, and got Andy Dalton, which Mitchell Trubisky is better than Andy Dalton at this point in his career. So it's kind of like, I don't know what's going on in Chicago. I don't think it's a good pickup. I think that they definitely need to.
Should have stayed with Trubisky.
At this point, if they were going to go with Andy Dalton, They definitely should have stayed with Mitchell Trubisky, but they need to start looking for more quarterbacks, maybe within this draft at this point.
Yeah, I think too. Another team that maybe isn't looking at outside options for quarterback, the Saints.
Yeah.
Drew Brees retires, and now they have a quarterback battle.
battle.
Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston. Is there one that you see that maybe you favor over the other?
I think they need to. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, so they used Taysom a lot last year, especially when Drew was hurt. They didn't really use Jameis Winston often. I think that from what I've read and from what I just from watching football and everything, I think Jameis Winston should get the start. Definitely, the players have been, quoted saying that we think Jameis should start. I want to play with. He looks good. He wasn't the worst quarterback ever in Tampa Bay. He led the league in touchdowns, led in interceptions.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Led in interceptions, but he got the laser eye surgery, and everything. He led in touchdowns. He could obviously throw the ball. I think they need to let him, let him start, and at least see where it goes. If not, you know what you're going to get out of Taysom Hill from the offense, and he's going to do it well. But I think they might flourish a little bit in the passing game with Jameis.
That's kind of what I was thinking. With Taysom Hill, you're probably seeing a lot more of the option, the run. But
Yeah.
with Jameis, you just have that deep ball ability, and I think that would probably be
Yeah.
the smart option. And like you said, if it doesn't work out, then you go back to Taysom, and you know what you have there because you saw it a little bit this season, and he kind of held it down until Drew got back. But yeah, with Drew Brees not in the NFL anymore, man.
Yeah, that's wild. That's shouts out to Drew. He had a career for the ages. I don't know. Outside of probably his 5. I don't know if I can name 5 quarterbacks. It's a long story. Drew Brees is a top quarterback in NFL history. Long story short, and I think he ended up with he top 3 in passing yards.
Oh yeah, I think he is the
I
top
think he's
right
the
now.
top passing yard leader in the NFL history.
One of the best quarterbacks ever, man. I think that's the best way to put it.
That's the best way to put it. He's gonna go to the Hall of Fame.
But that's all we have this week for the Pro Sports Edition of Hawks Nest. We'll be back later in this week with the SEMO Sports Edition of Hawks Nest. For Leon Miller, I'm Claire Harrell. We say have a great week.